Aloha everybody and welcome to Spirit Chat. We haven't done a Spirit Chat for a while. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to log on and I will be answering some questions. I have my computer right down here. So I will be checking my computer also while I'm answering some questions for you guys, because there was some questions that people had this week that were in the Higher Purpose Learning Group that I felt like I wanted to kind of answer. And so let me look on let me just make sure that this is streaming and then we're gonna get started. Yep, there we are. Okay, so if you're popping in, say hi so I know you're there and we can chat a minute. Can you hear me? Everything's going okay? That kind of stuff. And let me just scroll down here. I just want to look in. There's going to be some stuff that I want to discuss before we get into anything too deep on the, I see that Tracy's in and Crystal, and hi, give me a thumbs up or something, or there we go. Okay, so you can hear. And Sharon, okay, everybody's getting on. Oh, so excited. Thanks, Tracy. Okay, so before we get into this, some of the Spirit Chat stuff too far, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Psychic Ability class, because that is going to go ahead and be closing for enrollment on Saturday. And so for those of you who, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is. I'm just not even going to try to explain that, but it's the Psychic Ability class that I've put really a lot of hours into teaching. I got to talk to a lot of the students this week. It was super exciting. The students love this class, and what I want you guys to know before that we get into the Spirit Chat session is, I know I did a post this week where I was asking where you were at on your spiritual journey. And that being said, a lot of you are in the information stage, but for those of you who are kind of being an informational sponge, but for those of you who are ready to move forward and do some more transformation, it's a super cool class. Now, this class is a system, and that's something that I think that people don't realize, because they'll be like, well, you know, I want to develop more, but I've already read all these books and I feel stuck and I can't develop. Well, the thing is usually when you get stuck or you feel like you're not developing anymore, it's because you don't have access to a system like I've put together. And this system is a chain of events. It is organized in a fashion that I promise it will help you heighten your abilities. And so there are several different ways to be into the class. We did the monthly thing, or we did the one-time thing. But enrollment will close on Saturday, and then it won't be open again until December. But the system is working really, really well. So, and I actually had a few students, which I thought was really cool, tell me that one of them had taken James Van Prague's class, who I highly respect. One of them had taken John Edwards' class, and they both said, different people at different times, that they loved this class even more because they felt that it was more organized and that it was laid out in a way with way more information than they previously had with any of the classes. So that was really cool to me. I've spent a lot of time on it, and people are just developing in leaps and bounds in this class. So that made my heart feel so good that this is happening. So we are going to be answering questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and post them below. Today I did an Astral Travel podcast. I want anybody who's interested in Astral Travel, that is coming up left, right, and center right now, of people who are experiencing Astral Travel. They're not quite sure what's happening when they experience it, and it's something that when you're not sure of what's going on, it can be a very scary experience. And so it's really good information that I put in this podcast. I didn't answer the complete questions here because I know that Uni, I believe is how you pronounce it, had asked a question about like negative entities coming in, or I think I could probably pull that up. She says she's familiar with sleep paralysis and astral projection. It happens a lot, but she's had instances where an incubus has been trying to take advantage of me. That type of situation doesn't happen in the way that you think it's happening. There is a translation period when if you awake during an astral travel state where your mind tries to make sense of some things that are happening, and there's an area where there's some great energies or a different type of dimensional shift when you're going back into your body, and your brain can translate it in an interesting way. You have full protection when you're astral traveling. And that being said, I really would like you guys to listen to the Astral Travel podcast, because not only have I had a lot of questions like this, I did answer some questions, I believe from Tabitha, if I remember correctly, I'm not really sure, where she then had went and started researching astral travel, and some of the information that she had gotten was just so far-fetched. I could not believe my ears when she came back and was posting what she'd found, and that was it. I just had to do a podcast because there's so much bad information. I actually Googled it myself because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And yes, there's just terrible information on astral travel, and astral travel is one of my strong suits. I'm a very good expert in astral travel. The information's so bad. It blows my mind how bad it is, and how these people try to explain it to you as if they are experts in the field when clearly they are not. So definitely check that podcast out. That being said, start asking questions because I'm going to start answering them. Shauna says, when I channel, I'm very fatigued and will sleep hours after. Is that normal? Thanks. Yes, it is normal. It's normal in the beginning stages. So this I do cover in the psychic ability class. We go over this, so I'm just going to touch on it a little bit. The thing is with when you're developing spiritually, and there's like think of it like a muscle. So when you're developing your spiritual muscle, when you're learning to develop, when you're working with your psychic senses, it will begin, you will need to gather strength with this spiritual muscle. So when you first learn to channel, when you first learn to use your psychic senses, there will be a time, many times, where you're very drained afterwards because the muscle hasn't strengthened yet. So the more that you work with the channeling ability, Shauna, and the more that you strengthen that, just think of it in your mind like a spiritual muscle, the more that you strengthen that, the less tired you will get. Just like if you lift weights, run on a treadmill, the more that you do it, the more stamina that you work up. So basically when you're channeling or connecting with spirit or anything like that, you have to learn to build up an energetic stamina to go with it. So eventually, if you practice this often, that will go away. Hopefully that answers your question, but you need to learn to work on it, and you need to build up your energetic stamina. Again, we do cover a lot of this in that class. So hopefully, Shauna, I really hope to see you in that class sometime. Hi, Miriam. Okay, so Marcy has another question. Can one astral travel with another person and share the same experience at the same time? Yes, you absolutely can astral travel with, and that's a good one, Marcy, because I did not put that in my podcast today. So, yes, you can astral travel with another person if you're a lucid astral traveler like myself, who I remember pretty much all my astral travels. Then you can, like, sometimes I have astral traveled with people, and let me clarify this, where the other person is not a lucid astral traveler. However, so they may not remember it. If you're both lucid astral travelers, you can both remember it. My son is, his friend is, and they actually have had experiences where they have astral traveled together to the same place, woke up the next day, talked to each other on the phone, had the exact same experience. They knew what was happening, and so they were very lucid astral travelers. So absolutely it can happen, and that is a really good question. Super cool. Okay, so Cynthia says, hello from Wisconsin. Aloha from Hawaii. It's very hot here. I don't know what it's like in Wisconsin, but my husband loves the cold weather. He's on the mainland, so I'm sure it's going to be getting cold if it's not. Any other questions, you guys? We don't have as many questions today. I'm going to also cover another one on Catalan, I believe is her name. She asked a question today. I'm going to be reading off my computer here. Tonight I stepped out my front door and there's this huge moth on the ground. Not sure if it's alive or dead, but it doesn't look injured. Any significance? Then she posted a picture of it. One of the other members of the group says something that I would like to comment on. She says, sometimes a moth is just a moth and a fluttering butterfly is just a butterfly fluttering by. What do you feel physically or emotionally when you first saw it? Maybe there's a pattern. She goes on to talk about one end of the spectrum, we can see signs everywhere. On the other hand, we can be given signs that are continuously ignored, and you're the only one who would know for sure. Okay, I do agree with a couple of things, which is you're the only one who usually would know. But I don't believe in, if it is bringing enough awareness to you to have you questioning or wondering what's the sign or symbol behind this, usually that's because you're getting a spiritual nudge. So that means that somebody on the spiritual realm is kind of pushing you a little bit to go, hey, pay more attention. Even if you're on a spiritual journey and you begin to become aware of everything around you and you start noticing all these signs or symbols, the thing is, that's the way the universe works. Everything around you is signs or symbols usually. In super, I was going to say in super rare instances, I would say maybe there's some things that are not signs or symbols, but the way that I live my life is everything's a sign or a symbol. Whether you choose to pay attention to it or not, and obviously that means I get like hundreds of signs or symbols like every day. I pay attention to the ones I want to pay attention to. I know that everything is, there's nothing that's coincidence. Everything is synchronistic. And so there is some type of significance to the moth. But when it comes to translating these messages and whatnot, I'd like you guys who are in the group to do what Tiffany said and sit with this sign or symbol that you would have for a minute and see what messages you receive. Feel from your chest area what feels good to you. Who do you feel around you? What type of significance do you feel that was supposed to bring into your life? Because if even in the higher purpose learning group, I love it when you guys ask questions. I love to answer them. However, if it gets to a point where, I'm answering what all your signs and symbols are, then it doesn't do you any good if we're not chatting. So pay attention to how these signs or symbols feel. There will be some type of feeling attached to it. And a lot of times you'll get things like, you'll get an image of a man or a woman if it's a spiritual nudge. You'll get an image of an age. You'll get an image of, are you related to this person? You'll get an image sometimes of a time frame that they were in. You'll get a feeling potentially right behind you on one side or another. You'll notice different sensations in the body. So there's a lot more to be aware of than just like walking out the door and noticing that there's a moth there. Stop for a minute. You might start feeling heated up. You might start feeling tingly. Just like learn to translate what messages that you're receiving. Learn that you are a vessel, that you can receive information just as much as I can give you information. But again, this is why I did the psychic ability class and I'm doing the spiritual communication class, is I want to give you the system for you to be able to learn this yourself. So that is a really good question that we have. Sorry, we just had to reconnect there for a minute. Sometimes it freezes for a half a second. So let me get down to, it looks like we're having a ton of questions now. If you channel a spirit and are communicating with them, can they give you a feeling of how they died? Absolutely. Ashley, 100% they can give you a feeling of how that they died. That doesn't always mean that everybody communicating with a spirit is going to receive that information. They may not offer the information. You may have to ask for the information, and then there's the whole process of translating that information. But if you channel one and you're communicating with them and you make the intention that you want to learn how that they died, or they want to communicate to you how that they died, absolutely they can give you a feeling. And usually that feeling is accompanied with pictures of, like I said, an era or a situation or an area of the body they may point to, or you may feel on your own body an area, like maybe something here, or maybe it's something on your tummy or head. So they may translate a feeling in your own body, and that is also super common. So Michelle says, not a question, just a comment. I'm excited to listen to the podcast. I think this has been happening to me for years. but the past couple years, it has not happened as much as it used to. I can feel my body laying in bed. I know when my eyes are open. It used to scare me, but then it would happen so often I got used to it. And Michelle, it's not that you're not doing it anymore. It's just that you're probably not remembering it. So as you will notice in the podcast, everybody does it. All you guys watching do it, and it's just whether you're aware of it or not. So it's a safeguard that we are built with in order to raise our vibration consistently throughout the month or every few days. It's just something that's already there that we naturally do. So Deanna says, how do I know if I'm astral traveling when I sleep? Can I astral traveling while awake and still function? When you leave your body, no, you cannot astral travel while you're awake and still function. You can be in your spiritual body and feel detached from your physical body and still function, but you cannot astral travel completely out of your body and still function. Your body needs your spiritual body to work, to move your fingers, to move your arms. It needs to be a complete process, and this is why a lot of people experience sleep paralysis, is because when their spiritual body is out of their physical body completely, this physical body cannot do anything. It cannot operate, it cannot move. They have to be somewhat joined together in order for your fingers, limbs, everything to operate. Again, that's why you experience sleep paralysis. How do you know if you're astral traveling when you sleep? Well, I can tell you do it 2 to 3 times a week. Everybody does. But I answer all those questions in the podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and get to some of these other questions and totally listen to that, because you're going to really enjoy that. I've been falling asleep. I just went to sleep because we talked about astral travel. I've been feeling the tingling in different parts of my body, but also like needle stings. Is that related? Miriam, I'm pretty sure that you're in my class. Yes, you're in my class. Okay, sorry, I have a lot of students in there. That tingly sensation or that prickly sensation, I thought I covered that in one of the modules, like the needle things. That's your vibration raising. That's what happens when your vibration raises. And I think that I explained it in the module. I love to use this analogy. If you were to plug into electricity, and the electricity comes from the wall and runs through the cord, and it kind of heats up and has different things happen to it on, a physical level. It's the same thing when you start to raise your vibration. Your body, it'd be like going from a 110 to a 120. When you start to raise your vibration, your body is used to running 110, and you're actually raising it to like a 1 or 220. And so your body will have to adjust and become a 220 plug in order to harness and be able to allow all that energy to flow through. And that can result in the tingling in different parts of your body, a prickly feeling, a needle type feeling, and it can be like all over. That is a result of your vibration raising and your body adjusting to your vibration raising. It's adjusting to the heightened energy that you're running through your body, your heightened vibration. And when you vibrate, you heat up. So it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to feel it, but if you raise your vibration way up here, inside your energetic system, there is a heightened heating sensation that goes on. You may or may not feel it physically, but like I said, it's the same like electricity, so it has to adjust. Shauna says, a spirit told that he rides in his Harley Davidson like he did when he was alive. Is that true? I'm assuming you're saying a spirit told you that he rides his Harley Davidson like he did when he was alive. Is that true? I'm guessing the question is, can you still ride motorcycles on the other side? Yes, you can. There's energetic type vehicles and all kinds of things like motorcycles that you absolutely can experience on the other side. It's just in a different dimension. 100% that can be true. I know that sounds really weird, but it actually is true. I've seen them when I've astral traveled and when I've connected in, and it's really cool, actually. Tammy says, if you start noticing signs, how do you know what to do with it or to do anything? Usually when you first start to develop spiritually, you don't know what to do with it. I mean, let's be frank, you just don't know, because you don't know who you're connecting in with, and you don't know what that person's trying to say. However, that is your first step to psychically developing, is awareness. And so what you do with that is you just pay attention to more of the awareness of everything, how things work in the universe around you, how spirits communicate. They communicate through these signs. And the more that you become aware and aware of this knowledge, the more that you're going to notice there's lots of spiritual contact going on in your life on a daily basis. That is really, really cool. Once you start being more relaxed into realizing spirits trying to contact with you all the time, loved ones, other people, your spirit guide, when you realize that they're constantly in your circle and in your realm of existence, then messages will start to become more clear. Then you will start becoming to get pictures in your head. There's usually not something they necessarily want you to do with any signs. They usually just want you to acknowledge that they exist, that they are there, that they have not just disappeared off the face of the planet, that they love you, that you have protection from them, that they are still very much connected to you. These are usually what spirits or loved ones on the other side are trying to convey with signs. They just want to get your attention and want you to acknowledge that they are real, that they exist. That means a lot to them. They want to show you that life does go on. It doesn't end here, and that they are supportive. Spirits love to be supportive to your life and who you are when they're on the other side, and they want to show this to you. They want to express this to you. And how they do it, they can't just buy you flowers and have it sent to your house, but they can show you a feather or a butterfly, or send things energetically your way that grab your attention, to be like, hey, I'm here. Think of it kind of like a wave or a hug, or just like, yes, I'm here. You know, that type of thing. Hopefully that answers that question. And then also, Tammy, I'm gonna guys on the spirit communication class, but if you do want to get more into the messages that spirits are conveying, there's systems that you have to work with in order to learn the translation methods and how to work with those translation methods. There's an actual process or a system to develop that knowledge further if you choose. And Sean Johnson joined. Hi, Sean. I don't know if you're still on, but good to see you. Tammy says, thanks for answering my question before I asked. I don't know which one that was, but awesome. When I'm dreaming, Michael says, is that astral travel? How can I become lucid when dreaming in an astral travel state? When you're dreaming, this is where I need to do the webinar on this one. There is a lot of different things that happen when you're dreaming. I would say about 70% of the time when you're dreaming, you are in an astral travel state. But there are times when you're not in an astral travel state and you are dreaming. So you're doing both. And how can you become lucid when dreaming and astral traveling? We do cover that a little bit in, I believe, Module 3, and I know that you're in that one, Michael. But you become more lucid by kind of setting the intention to first. Again, it's a whole process. It's remembering your dreams. It's journaling about your dreams. It's connecting with your mind, making the connection with your mind and your spirit that it's a real existence, that it's a real thing that you got going on. It's not just like a dream. It's not like your imaginary land. And once you start making the connection that dreaming is a different reality, it's actually reality in another dimension, that will help you start to become more lucid in your dreaming, is just acknowledging that it is real, that it is an existence, that you are doing real things. That will help you to become more lucid when dreaming and astral traveling. So that's kind of like I can't really go into that a little bit further than that, because hopefully that helps you. Ashley said, thank you, I thought that's what he was doing, love and light. Kathleen says, after doing a chi meditation, literally, I relaxed. I literally blacked out, saw an image of a blue cross with a green stone in the center. Then it came, don't know what this means, averaging green. I'm just, sorry, I have to go down, in lapis blue. So basically, after chi meditation relaxed, I literally blacked out, saw an image of a blue cross with a green stone in the center of it. That would just be some type of spiritual symbol that your guides were given to you. So in order to get more of a meaning, my guess is that they're showing you, I'm just looking into that a little bit. My guess is that they're just showing you some spiritual stuff or something that you were looking for on a spiritual level to connect you with the guides. So for some reason, your council uses this blue cross with a green stone as sort of like, how would I say that? Like, you know how different religions have different types of like images or different types of crosses, you know, Celtic cross, whatever. This seems to be your council's sign or symbol, I guess I would say. And they were showing it to you. You were connecting with them on that level. So I don't know if you were asking about it, wondering if there was any types of signs or symbols from the other side, but that was a very strong sign or symbol for you. So you might want to write that down, and you'll probably become very attached to that symbol because it's a part of the group that you're in and what you guys practice. Laura says, hi Jennifer, oftentimes when I'm lying in bed and it is all quiet, I will experience what feels like a buzz of energy running through my body. Do you have any thoughts on what that could be? Yes, that is your vibration raising. When your vibration raises, it does feel like you're vibrating, and sometimes you can hear a noise, you can feel a buzz, a humming, but sometimes it even feels like your bones are kind of vibrating, like somebody mentioned, like a tuning fork. And so absolutely, that's what's happening when you quiet your mind and your body naturally, your spiritual body begins to vibrate on its own. It will make that feeling. So, enjoy that, because that's really, if you pay attention, it'll be the most relaxing feeling ever when your vibration's raising. It will feel so good, and you will feel refreshed and charged, and it's super cool that you get to notice that, Laura. Love it. Okay. Michelle, do you only communicate with spirits from this lifetime, or do spirits from your past lifetimes also try to communicate with you? That's a good question, Michelle, and people or spirits from past lifetimes always try to communicate with you. And so if you'll notice that sometimes if you're a lucid dreamer, you may find that you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh my God, that was amazing, and I knew this person. Only you'll wake up and realize, but I didn't know this person. So it would be something where you knew them from a past life. Absolutely, they constantly are trying to communicate with you, especially like people who are really close to you in other lifetimes, significant others. They really try to communicate with you from other lifetimes. Sisters or brothers or parents or children, they love to try to communicate with you, especially if they're on the other side, kind of waiting to incarnate, or that they feel like that they're offering you some type of protection. Because a lot of times loved ones from other past lives, they protect you while you're here if they're on the other side, not incarnated at that time. And so that was a really good question. People forget, they think that the people who you love right now and who are close to you, family, friends, and all of that, you have other people in your life that you're that close to that you don't know in this lifetime, but you still have the love and the connection and the ability or the desire to stay in contact with these people. You have that from past life connections, people who are not with you in this lifetime. So it's not just your family or your unit who's here, who you have this special connection with. And that's why a lot of times those spirits will try to communicate with you. So that was a really good question. Sky says, I know when I'm astral traveling in the mornings a lot, my whole body vibrates. Is that raising vibration? Literally my entire body vibrating. Probably happens 3 times a month. Usually, and I talk about this on the podcast, if you awake while you're coming back into your body, you have to have a kind of cool down period vibrationally. When you astral travel, your vibration goes way up here. So imagine it like when you're in your physical body, even if you're at a 10, your vibration is supposed to be like around here. But when you astral travel, it's way up here. If you jolt back into your body really quickly and you don't get a time to pull your vibration down to match where you naturally vibrate on a physical level, you will feel that vibration. You will feel that your entire body vibrating until it like calms down. Again, I talked about that on the podcast, and you have to imagine it like running on a treadmill and running really hard and really fast and then jumping off and somebody says, okay, now go meditate. That's like you need a minute to get your whole body and your physical system to kind of just calm down, heart rate to calm down, to relax, that type of thing. So that's what that is. Elle says, hi Jennifer, I just got on the chat. I know you mentioned you'd like to talk about the moths in the chat. Wanted to ask if I missed it. Yes, you did. Go back and try to replay the beginning of this, Elle, because I did talk about that. So, Brandy, hello, glad I could catch this live. I will have to go back later and watch the beginning. Wonderful. And Sky says, been getting lots of messages from Spirit. Funny, my mom just called me wanting to know if my brother was giving her signs last night. I told her yes, but I find it cool that you answer questions that literally pop up in my life hours before you post chat. LOL. Really cool. You know, I get that a lot. I swear, it's so funny, but people always tell me, and you guys would not believe, you might think you're the only ones telling me this, but I hear this often. Like, I swear it's like you're in my head and you post or chat about something that I was thinking about that day. And the funny thing about that is, someone actually asked me, are you reading my mind? I'm like, yes, I actually am. Because the way that I do my group chats and my podcast and things that I post is because I actually tune into the group, and I will pick up on things such as questions or issues that are going around, and I will address those because I hear them and I pick up on them. So I tune into you guys, I hear some stuff, I'll address them. That's how that works. So yeah, it's kind of weird and funny. You explained Spirit showing signs. Literally just got off the phone with my mom talking about 3 months. Saw you were live. Pretty awesome. Well, I'm glad that that's helpful. Does everyone have a council? Tracy says, no, not everyone does have a council. That's a good question. You can have several guides. You can call them a council if you want to. You can have, 3 to 7 guides. You have many different guides throughout your lifetime, and they come in for different reasons. Usually, council members or a council of guides, it's like a higher group of guides. So for instance, I myself have several guides that I work with, probably around 7 or 8 that I work with individually, but I also have then a higher group of guides who are called my council, and I am the 7th member of that council. The reason I specifically have a council is because of the spiritual work that I do. Usually when a council is involved, you are involved or meant to do some type of spiritual or healing work, and that's usually when we're assigned a council or we're a part of a council. This council has been a part of my life for many, many, many lifetimes. It's the same council. And so this particular council that is my council does not incarnate. Your spirit guides usually incarnate, and they usually have lived on Earth. My council does not. It's very interesting. I have a really close connection with my council. I see them. They've talked to me. They explain things to me. I'm very I have a very lucid or very close relationship with my council. So it's but that's unusual. I'm weird. I know. Don't compare your guides to mine. It's not probably the same. So, Robert Nicole says, I love your earrings. Are they the tree of life? I can't see them. No, actually, they are the Om symbol. If you can see, they're probably backwards. But because I know that the video comes out backwards. But yeah, no, they're the Om symbol, and I love them. And my daughter got them for me, so they're very special. And the interesting thing is, these earrings, and she was worried to get them for me because of my reactions to different objects, but these are actually recycled war material. Very interesting. And I didn't know that until I had them, but well, I guess there was a thing in the box, but I felt them. They felt great to me. Wore them. I love them. They're my favorite. So Kathleen says, I did. Thank you very much. Sky says, you just answered my question about vibrating. It's funny. I'm just answering your questions left and right before it's even happening. So after doing guided spirit communication meditation recently, something strange happened. I asked my spirit guide a question and felt as though I blacked out. Don't remember what I asked. Did I do something wrong? No, you probably were in a deep meditative state, and that can happen if you sometimes get into a channeling type situation. You can remove yourself for a half a second. I don't think that that probably will happen to you very often, but no, you didn't do something wrong. You went into a deep meditative state. If you're trying to communicate, if you have the ability to channel, you can like remove yourself for a minute and it will feel weird, like kind of like a blackout. If that's, and that's a whole, I will be talking about channeling, excuse me, I will be talking about channeling on the spirit communication class that I do, because feel like I'm running into where we're having a lot of questions about channeling, how that works. And I know there's not a lot of information on that. Again, I've been a channeler my whole entire life, and I have a lot of information for you guys, but that takes just as much training to harness and utilize as anything that we talk about. So Nicole says, does everyone have multiple spirit guides, or do some of us have just one? I've connected with one many times, not sure if I have any other guides. Yes, you have other guides. Nobody has just one spirit guide. You usually have one main guide, one main person who's with you from birth on, but almost always you have more guides coming in. Well, always, not almost always. You have more guides coming in that would help you with different phases in your life, different skills that you're trying to develop. They are called specialty guides, and they will come in and assist you at different times in your life. And your guide, a lot of times, will call in other guides when they need assistance. So, you know, if you're not listening, or something such as that, or they want some extra help or protection for you, they're in charge of your main guide is in charge of your sort of crew, your guide crew. Never mind. Yeah, I still love them. Okay. So we have one last question here. If you guys have any more, you want to go ahead and throw them on, and then if not, we'll be done here for today. Bonnie says, hello. Hello, Bonnie. Annette says, I kept astral traveling in my sleep to the most beautiful scenery, seeing my dad, which repeated over several months. One night I woke up out of a sound sleep in the middle of the night. Googled his name to find his obituary. The past 6 months prior, I believe he's been around lately, as I found out in October, which is also my birth month. So, seeing my dad, which repeated, I'm just kind of going over this question again because I guess I'm not quite sure of the question. Woke up sound asleep in the middle of the night, Googled his name to find his. So, I'm assuming that, first of all, yes, you astral traveled to, and the beautiful scenery was on the other side. When you see it, it's really cool. It's something that I'm sure, Annette, as you know, it's very real, and it hangs with you because it is such a cool thing. I'm assuming that you had lost contact with your dad because you said that you Googled his name, found his obituary, and he's been around lately. Well, he's obviously been around lately, or you wouldn't have seen him in the astral travel state, because that's how they come to you. You can go to them, but usually they're also wanting to connect with you during an astral travel state. So absolutely he's around. Kathleen says, hi Jennifer, there's a 10-year-old girl who's popped up now in a couple different dreams and in a meditation, wondering if it's me. If it's not me, who would it be? These are the most beautiful dreams I've ever had. The girl is definitely not you. It's a spirit who you're connecting with, who you also have a past life with. And just to clarify that, I have people ask me that quite a bit, and sometimes they'll do a meditation, or they'll be doing something where they feel a younger child, or a spirit or something that's popping in that, number one, that they know is not their guide, number two, that they know that they're connecting with this person, but they do not ever remember being connected with them in the physical realm. Almost always when it comes to you in a childlike state, unless you're seeing something such as, there's so many things that can happen to you in astral travel state when you're working with spiritual spirits. And one of the things that I have a habit of being able to do, which I actually cannot stand, is I have a habit of being able to pop into scenarios to see what happened when somebody had died or something. So, for instance, if there was a tragic event that happened, I can tend to pop into their body, which, like, it might have happened in the 70s, it might have happened in the 60s. I can pop into their body and I go through the whole scenario and I know what happened to these people. Do not love that. You can be communicating with children in that way sometimes, but that's kind of a rare thing. So if it's not somebody you know, it's usually not a guide that young. I rarely have seen a guide come in that young. It's almost always somebody that you've had a past life connection with. And they like to come in a way that would not make you nervous, or that you would possibly remember them, or that you would feel like, oh, I feel like I know this person. Because they do want you to remember them. They want to feel close to you. They want you to spark an aha moment. So that's what's happening with that is it's a girl that you've had a couple of lifetimes with her, because I'm getting a lot on this little girl. One, she was actually one of your children in another lifetime. But you have other lifetimes with her, which would be a sister as well. You have a sister lifetime with this child. Sky says, my daughter's watching with me. She's excited you mentioned astral travel to beautiful places. She's been having the same experience. She wanted me to tell you, great confirmation. Oh my gosh, when you astral travel to the spiritual realm, I can only liken it to something like, sometimes if you were to see, like, I don't know, some of the most, like Thor, or some of the most beautiful movies where they have the most incredible waterfalls and the most incredible greenery and the most beautiful sky colors. When you astral travel to the other side, it is some of the most magical scenery that you're just like, wow, like, is this exists? It can be one of the coolest experiences you'll ever have. Absolutely beautiful. And we do have houses on the other side. It's funny because I've actually seen mine. And you do have houses, you have places that you live. That's another experience that you may have when you're astral traveling. You may end up in a home somewhere that you're like, wow, this is like my house. And you may think it's a dream, but it's not a dream. The beauty is just beyond anything you can imagine. It's very cool. Marcy says, Dan wants to know if our spirit guides ever incarnate, and are we get to be their spirit guide? They do incarnate, and it depends on if you make that contract with them. My son's main spirit guide now, we call him Frank because that's what his name is. He was actually, when we did past life regression on my son, plus my son remembers it, my son and him were very close in one of their past lives. And so my son remembered this past life when he was very young anyways. He was like little, like 4 or something. He remembered the past life with Frank. He remembered everything that happened with him. He knew him immediately in this lifetime. So yes, they do incarnate, and sometimes you could be their guide. But the thing is with spirit guides is you actually have to go through a training. So it's not like you would pass over and go, okay, I'm going to be your guide. The only way that you can be their guide is if you have had the proper training. It is a school, a school of knowledge that you have to do. Not everybody, not all of you guys watching will ever be, or just will automatically be, spirit guides. You're just not going to do it just because you're on the other side. It would have to be your job or one of your things that you do on the other side. Because on the other side, we also have jobs. We do healings. We do social gatherings. We teach. We do all kinds. There's guides. We do all kinds of things. Like there's jobs that we do, and spirit guide is an actual position. So you have to be trained in that. So if you're trained as a guide, and maybe you wouldn't know that now, but you may be trained as a guide, and if you are one, then you could potentially switch, and because you choose your guide, you get to choose who guides you. So that was a lot of information, but yeah, hopefully you got that. I'm having some streaming issues over here. Carol, that can happen. You might have to watch after, and it should stream. Okay, now it will cut out for a half a minute, and my Wi-Fi is right there, like I am right here. So sorry about that, but yeah, you can listen to the whole thing later. Well, you are describing Hawaii. Well, Nicole says, thanks, Jennifer. I've been having a lot of dreams of many different animals lately. Can animals be spirit guides, or can they just be animals? Both. They're not spirit guides, they're animal guides. And so, yes, you absolutely can have animal guides, and they can be animals from past lives, both. And in your experience, or in your particular situation, it is both. So you're seeing some from past lives, and you're seeing guides. And I feel like you have yours are really strong wolf type as well. They almost look like dogs, but they're more like a wolf. And the last question I have before I tune out here, because I have to do another chat in in my event group. Laura says, thanks so much for answering my other question. I sat with the intention to connect with my guides. I had a notebook and a pen in hand to jot important messages down, while all of a sudden my hand just started vigorously moving back and forth beyond my control. The pen was bouncing up on the paper. I was not guiding. That's what it's only happened that one time. Your thoughts, it's channeling. That's what you're doing, Laura. You're channeling, and it can be a weird experience if you don't get the proper mentorship. So Laura, I would strongly suggest that you get into the spirit communication class, which I'm hoping to offer in December, but it'll probably be January. So start saving now, because there will be a lot of things. When I was a young channeler, I was mentored by somebody who was a channeler for a long time, and I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference to know what the heck is going on. And you have to have certain types of protection, things that you do, especially when you're doing meditative state stuff. And what a channeler, what we do, I am a channeler. And what can also happen when you go into meditative state and you're really trying to connect in with spirit is you always have to give permission, but you will find that sometimes a lot of different spirits, and you have to be careful of who you're calling in, will want to try to merge with you into your body, and they will try to want to communicate through, just like by taking over in a sense. And again, you have to give permission, but it's something that if you're a strong channeler, you're going to want to get some more mentorship with in order to learn what to do, what not to do when meditating. So make sure that while you're meditating, because you're experiencing channeler signs, make sure that you surround yourself by angels, your guides, and you specifically, very purposefully make the intent and tell everyone who's involved that you are only allowed to connect with the highest vibration spirits. They are the only ones allowed to make contact with you. You need to be very forward about that, and you need to be very serious about that when you're a channeler. So make sure that you do that with every meditation. It's very, very important. Let's see, we go. Thank you. I'd love to fill you in later on what happened in the dreams with the girl, daughter, sister. Wow. Okay. Carol says, well, it's allowing me to post and send love. Thank you, Carol. And Sky, what do you think my ability is psychically? I feel like a mixed bag. Sky, I go over that in my course. For those of you who haven't taken the course, I do go over that. I actually worked on a quiz that took me 4 days and 8 hours a day to get this quiz right, and it will help you to discover what your abilities are. So that is in module 2, I believe. So when you take the class, Sky, and I know that you talked about trying to get your money together or whatever, and that's fine, and if not, you can hopefully do it in December. Maybe you and your daughter can do it together. You will be able to take that quiz. You will find out exactly what your abilities are. People have loved that part. Again, I want to just remind everybody that Saturday is the end day for the psychic ability class. I had a student the other day said, this should be like a spiritual development class because there's so much more to the psychic ability stuff, or than just the psychic ability stuff. And he was right. And the results with this system that I've put down and I worked so hard at is they really have been astronomical. They've actually been even shocking me, because people have had such insanely good results so fast. And so if you're interested at all in this, like I said, it's not just a bunch of information that you're going to get that you've probably read before. It's not that at all. It's a system. It's put in place, that it's very organized. There's ways you can do it, whether you're on the go, whether you're busy, whether you're driving 2 hours a day. There's MP3 downloads. I've put a lot of time into this class, and it is going to bring some clarity to your life that you're going to be like, wow, this is really helpful. And I really, truly believe that. And so check it out. Make sure that you sign in before Saturday. And Tracy says it's because you're an amazing teacher. Thank you, Tracy. But it's just what I love to do. I want you guys to feel the development. I want you guys to learn, and I want you guys to experience it. And so I really worked hard at this system, and the results just really make me feel good. And it's amazing to me how fast everybody's learning and how much they're growing. So I hope to see all of you guys in the class, because I really do think you're going to enjoy it. And I'd suggest that you take this class before I am going to be offering a couple other classes. And so I really hope that you guys take this one, so that when I offer my next one and my next one, that you guys can all be a part of it. And everybody who takes this class so far is definitely in for the next one. So, all right, until next time, I'm glad that you guys all stopped by. Keep asking questions. Go check out the Astral Travel podcast. You can go to the www.psychicabilityclass.com until Saturday night. And if you missed that, it'll be December. And I will be posting about my new website soon. So have a good night. Bye.